All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're basically throwing out the rulebook because we are looking at 4 literally impossible things that science is doing right now. Forget the boring textbook stuff. We are talking about mind-blowing, rule-breaking discoveries that sound like absolute science fiction but are actually happening right now in labs, in deep space, and honestly, maybe even in your bedroom. So buckle up.
Now you might be wondering, what do lab-made potatoes, baby DNA manuals, space bouncers, and your alarm clock have in common? Well, literally nothing. Today's explainer is kind of like a fast-paced science safari. We're going to jump through an anthology of 4 totally disconnected, wildly different, but equally mind-bending scientific breakthroughs that are fundamentally reshaping our understanding of life, the universe, and, well, nap time.
Think of our agenda today like a video game level select screen. We've got Level 1, lab-made potato cells. Level 2, reading baby DNA manuals. Level 3, black hole boundary secrets. And finally, Level 4, the perfect sleep number. Let's hit start.
Kicking things off with Level 1, lab-made potato cells, synthetic biology's weirdest breakthrough.
So this whole thing starts at the University of Minnesota in Dr. Kate Adamala's lab. And they've created something they've jokingly but affectionately dubbed spud cells. Now, a spud cell is wild because it has absolutely 0 evolutionary ancestors. None. I mean, every other cell on Earth comes from a previous cell dividing, right? Not these Frankum potatoes. Dr. Adamala's team built them entirely from scratch, bottom up, starting with just these lifeless, inanimate fatty bubbles called liposomes.
Okay, so how do you actually build a potato cell from scratch? Well, step 1, you take those lifeless fatty membrane bubbles. Step 2, you inject a completely custom, fully synthetic designer DNA genome made of just 7 tiny loops. And then step 3 is where it gets crazy. This DNA produces proteins that essentially act like tiny nightclub bouncers. These bouncers grab big proteins from the outside soup, pulling them in until the bubble actually folds in on itself and divides. And it works. They've managed to get these cells to reproduce and evolve for 5 whole generations.
Now, I know spud cells sounds like a silly joke, but this is deeply serious science. Just take it from Dr. John Glass, a massive pioneer in synthetic biology. He literally calls this a landmark event in the history of biology and synthetic cells. In fact, there's a new nonprofit research organization called BioNTech that just launched. Their whole goal is to take this open-source biology and turn it into standardized biological Legos, basically making it super easy for anyone to build and tinker with living technology.
It's a total Sputnik moment. If you think about the first Soviet satellite, it was tiny, it just beeped, it was kind of wimpy. These spud cells are wimpy too, right? They don't have a metabolism, and they literally need to be spoon-fed. But just like Sputnik kicked off the massive space age, scientists really believe these little potato cells are kicking off a huge revolution in open-source biological engineering.
Smash cut to Level 2, reading baby DNA manuals, also known as the 100,000 baby experiment.
So, over in England, there's this massive new program called the Generation Study. And they plan to sequence the complete genetic code of 100,000 newborns right from birth. But this brings us to a really tricky ethical dilemma. On one hand, you have the massive benefit of catching diseases early. Take a baby named Freddie, born in April 2025. Because of genetic screening, his rare eye cancer, retinoblastoma, was caught super early, and he got treated promptly, which is incredible. But on the flip side, critics are really worried about creating what they call patience in waiting. That basically means putting perfectly healthy kids into this stressful, lifelong diagnostic purgatory, just waiting for a disease that might never actually happen.
Because here's the thing, having a scary gene doesn't mean you're definitely going to get sick. It all comes down to this one word, penetrance, which is just the proportion of people with a mutation who actually become ill. Genes are not your absolute destiny. For example, scientists used to think a mutation in the RB1 gene had a 90% chance of causing that eye cancer. But a brand new study just found it's actually less than a third. So handing parents this terrifying genetic data without fully understanding penetrance, well, it can cause a whole lot of unnecessary panic.
And then, of course, we have the other elephant in the room, privacy. Look at that number, 6.9 million. That is how many customers of the genetic testing company 23andMe had their highly sensitive personal genetic data stolen by hackers back in 2023. When you start building massive databases of baby DNA, you're opening up a total treasure trove that could, theoretically, be used for anything from insurance discrimination to blackmail. The benefits for medical research could be huge, no doubt, but the ethics? Very, very tricky.
All right, leaving Earth behind. Let's jump straight to Level 3,
Black hole boundary secrets, spying on the event horizon.
So, back in January 2025, the LIGO Observatory detected these gravitational waves from two black holes that violently crashed together about 1.3 billion years ago. And scientists used those waves to spy on nature's absolute strangest phenomenon. If potato cells have molecular bouncers, space has the ultimate VIP bouncer, the event horizon. This is the absolute boundary, the strict point of no return surrounding a black hole. The gravity there is so impossibly intense that nothing, literally not even light, can escape its grasp once it crosses that line.
A team led by physicists in Zheng Ma published a paper in Nature using these new waves to prove that Einstein's general relativity perfectly matches the insane physics happening right outside this boundary. As objects get closer to the horizon, light actually loses energy and appears radically redder. The black hole literally drags the fabric of space-time around with it, and even the passage of time physically bends and distorts. I mean, it sounds like pure sci-fi, but it is real, measurable physics.
But you've got to wonder what lies beyond that boundary. Deep inside that horizon is the singularity, which is a place where Einstein's math literally breaks down and just gives nonsensical results. Physicist Nicholas Younes hopes that by studying these event horizons, we might finally hear whispers of quantum gravitational effects. Scientists are basically using these massive cosmic collisions as the ultimate laboratory to finally figure out how to merge gravity with quantum mechanics, which is a massive feat that's eluded them for decades.
Okay, final reset. Level 4, the perfect sleep number, hacking your biological clock.
We are warping all the way from the violent edge of a black hole right back down to your bedroom to answer a really crucial everyday health question. Can you actually sleep too much? Now, ever since 1817, we've been told the golden rule is 8 hours of rest. But a massive new study published in Nature looked at 500,000 adults. And rather than just asking them how they felt, the scientists actually measured their biological clocks. They looked at their actual organ age, like brain age and muscle age, to see if their physiology was older or younger than their chronological age.
And the conclusion is honestly jaw-dropping. More sleep is not always better. They found this U-shaped curve across 9 different body systems. Chronic sleep deprivation ages you, obviously, but so does excessive slumber. For the absolute optimal organ health, the sweet spot was surprisingly specific. We're talking 6.5 to 7.8 hours for women and 6.4 to 7.7 hours for men. It turns out that aiming for exactly 8 hours might actually be overshooting the mark for a lot of people.
But hey, before you go setting 12 hyper-specific alarms, take a look at this number. A 2025 survey found that 76% of people have lost sleep literally just because they were worrying about not getting enough sleep. The irony there is amazing. The lead scientists say the ultimate advice isn't to obsess over the exact decimal point of a sleep schedule. The real hack is to simply listen to your body, aim for that general range, and just don't stress the exact math.
All right, level 4 complete, bringing us to The Future is Now, connecting the dots.
Let's bring this entire anthology together. From building synthetic evolutionary life completely from scratch with fatty bubbles, to reading the complete genetic manuals of newborn babies, to proving Einstein right by listening to the space-time ripples of ancient black holes, all the way down to decoding the specific hours of sleep that actually keep our internal organs young, the speed at which human understanding is expanding right now is just staggering. Which leaves us with this final, burning question. If science can do all of this today, what impossible thing will it do tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep your eyes on the data, and never lose that curiosity about the wild frontiers of science. Catch you in the next one.